إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أنه لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى صحابته الكرام ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أوصيكم وأوصي نفسي بتقوى الله في السر والعلى. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. أما بعد. One of the men of Allah said that there are two world views that you can have when you're looking at events unfold across the world. You can be either self-centric or God-centric. Self-centric or God-centric. And there's been a lot of events occurring, especially within the last 2 weeks. Just earlier this week, we had, again, a young, deluded man walk in New York City, go into one of the busiest transportation hubs in the country to try to inflict harm on innocent people. Disgrace to the Messenger of Allah, these people who do these type of things, just this past week. Last week, we had, in a continuation of a 70-year aggression against the Palestinian people, we had the holy city of Jerusalem, which was named the capital of Israel. And there's been a lot of reaction, which is necessary and mandatory, right? A reaction to injustice. But simultaneously, the people of wisdom have another lens by which they look at these circumstances. Take Palestine, for example. It's not the first time that Jerusalem has been taken away. It's happened before. And actually, two of these instances are mentioned in the Quran. Allah tells us the first time, Dawood alayhi salam, King David, built the city. And it was given to the Bani Israel who had been given the guidance. The city was given to them for around 400 years. They had it for 400 years, and Allah says, لَتُفْسِدُنَّ فِي الْأَرْضِ and وَلَتَعْلُنَّ عُلُوًّا كَبِيرًا, that they spread corruption on the earth and they became really haughty. And so, in the year 587 BC, Allah sent the Babylonians who invaded the city and took Al-Quds, and they destroyed the masjid. A few decades later, again, they were given another chance, the Bani Israel. Allah gave them Jerusalem again. ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَا لَكُمُ الْكَرَّةَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَمْدَدْنَاكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أَكْثَرَ نَفِيرًا. We gave you back victory over them, and we gave you wealth, and we multiplied you with children, and we gave you even more than what you had been given before. But as so many of us do, after receiving a ni'mah from Allah, we forget the mun'im, and we become arrogant. And this is what the Bani Israel fell into again. And so in the year 70 AD, another around 400 years later, Allah sent this time the Romans who took the city. And Bayt al-Maqdis for 600 years became abandoned, became a pile of trash. Until 600 years later, Allah again gave it to someone. In 637 AD, Umar ibn al-Khattab and Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, two of the 10 guaranteed paradise, took the city. 637 AD. And today, we find ourselves in the current situation. And so the question is that we must ask ourselves, who are we more like? Are we like the Bani Israel who were given guidance but turned away and became arrogant? Or are we like Abu Ubaidah and Umar? It's a question we have to ask ourselves. A lot of us came to this country with little to nothing, and Allah blessed us with wealth and family and prosperity. Do we remember the divine favors, or have we forgotten? Or worse, have we turned away? Right? Are we self-centric or God-centric? Most of us, unfortunately, we know the answer to this question. And when we find that this is our state, it is time to change our perspective. It is time to distance ourselves from the passing incidentals and focus on the timeless universals. Distance ourselves from the passing incidentals, the components of a self-centric worldview, and take on the timeless universals, which are the components of a God-centric worldview. What are timeless universals? Being good to parents, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ. We know the ayah. When Allah says a command, He uses different commands. Sometimes He says, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ. Fasting has been prescribed unto you. Sometimes Allah says, وَصَّيْنَا. Here Allah is saying qada. Qada comes from the same word as qadi, which is judge. Allah is saying that as a judge decrees, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ. Your Lord decrees, أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. That you be worship none but Him and you be good to your parents. أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ بِأَكْبَرِ الْكَبَائِرِ. Should I not tell you the greatest of sins? قَالُوا بَلَا يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Tell us, O Messenger of Allah. قَالَ الْإِشْرَاكُ بِاللَّهِ وَعُقُوقُ الْوَالِدَيْنِ. Being associating with Allah and abusing your parents. Right? You can be involved in all the college organizations, and this is good. You can be involved with PCRF and Students for Justice in Palestine and United Muslim Relief. But if you're doing this, all of that, and then you go home and you slam the door on your parents, in this case you are focusing on a passing incidental and neglecting a timeless universal. Right? Another timeless universal, neighborliness. One of the great forgotten fundamentals of this religion, being good to your neighbor. And then we wonder why so many people, the Pew poll shows that only 20% of people have a favorable impression of Islam. Right? This is something we should, work with, Muslim or non-Muslim. Right? Jibreel continued to emphasize the rights of neighbors to me until I thought that He would give the neighbor inheritance rights. Hadith. Another timeless universal, helping the poor, the needy, and the orphans. One of the Salihin said that if you are living somewhere and you are unaware of the people, the poor people in your neighborhood, he said, I fear for you in front of Allah. Right? And it's not just donating and writing checks, but actually being with, engaging with, talking with, spending time with the people who haven't been given as much or who are less fortunate. Right? And then some people say, well, why doesn't the masjid provide these opportunities? Right? Well, this is flawed on two counts. First of all, most do. And secondly, this is a self-centric question. It's not a God-centric question. Why is it, what does the masjid do for us? Why can't it be what do we do for the masjid? We need to just change in perspective. What do we do when we go for like a job, apply for a job? What do we put on our resumes? That we are driven, dedicated, results-oriented, and we will join your company and take your company to new heights. We do this for dunya, and when it comes to the masjid, it's just sitting back and pointing fingers. Right? So these are some timeless universals. And then there's also people who do, some people who do come and they get involved with organizations and masajid, but it's not with a God-centric outlook of coming together as a community and focusing on timeless universals. Rather, some people come with these modern hype movements, like liberal progressive Islam, or misguided feminist activism. Right? Misguided, because there's rightly guided and there's misguided. Like one time I was reading, and I read this, it was written by a Muslim parent, and she wrote this piece. And in it she said, what the main thing that I teach my daughter is how to be a successful businesswoman like Khadija. Which is good. You might say, what's the issue here? The problem isn't what's in that statement, it's what's missing from that statement. Who was Khadija? Just a woman with a lot of money? Khadija, radiallahu anha, was an employer who married her employee. She was an employer who married a man who worked for her. What does that tell you? She knew Muhammad. Does your daughter know Muhammad or your son? But we have to get out of this, self-serving, dunya-based mentality, right, and start focusing on what really matters. Unfortunately, when you talk like this, when you say this stuff, people say, oh, so what? Are you against activism? The greatest activist in human history was the Prophet, but he did it God-centrically. One day, the Prophet wanted to buy a shirt, a qamis, a long shirt. And so he took 10 coins from his house, and he went to the store. He spent 4 coins on a shirt, and he left the store. A man came by and said, Ya Rasulullah, can you give me that shirt? May Allah give you a shirt from the shirts of paradise. And the Prophet ﷺ gave him the shirt, went back to the store, spent another 4 coins, and bought another qamis. As he was walking, he saw a young slave girl who was weeping. She was crying. And so he asked, what's the matter? She said that my master gave me 2 coins to go buy flour, and I lost the coins. And so the Prophet said, what did he do? We know what he did. He gave the last 2 coins that he had to the young slave girl, and he went away. He came back in that same direction a little while later, and the same girl was crying. He said, what happened? She said, I bought the flour, but now I'm late. I'm scared that my master is going to beat me. The Prophet ﷺ walked her home. And when they got to the door, he knocked. He said, Assalamu alaikum. And no response. Knocked again. Assalamu alaikum. No response. The 3rd time, Assalamu alaikum, he got back the reply, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And he said, why didn't you reply the first time? They said, we wanted you to keep sending salam to us. And so he explained to them the situation. He said, this girl, I don't want her to get beat. And the master said, because you, Ya Rasulullah, brought her home, she's emancipated. She's free. What did the Prophet do after this? Well, what do activists in modern day do? Some of them put it on Facebook, hashtag, prophetic activism. The Prophet said, لَقَدْ بَارَكَ اللَّهُ فِي الْعَشَرَةِ. Allah put barakah in those 10 coins. Allah put barakah. You see, God-centrically dedicated to timeless universals. This is what we need to build ourselves on. Should be our focus, and this should be our methodology. Inshallah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. One of the ulama, he recently said that in the past, you were able to look at a person walking, and you were able to say, this person reminds me of the Messenger of Allah. And that nowadays, it's hard to find people like that. And no doubt, this is one of the main factors which makes people averse to hearing terms like God-centric. Because a lot of people who preach these often don't have those same qualities. We find that a lot of times people who claim to be religious end up driving others away, right? Because among many other things, they make religion solely a topic of argumentation, right? Arguing about which group is right, having aqidah debates, right? While other people are leaving Islam, and some people are stuck in the old, which are important for the ulama, but not for the lay people. You'll see, like, for example, a person will be struggling with the deen on a college campus or anywhere, and so he or she will go to the say room or to the masjid to go and find, help. And what do they find there? You'll have one brother will say, I follow the aqidah, athari aqidah of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. You have other brothers there saying, A'udhu Billah. No, you have to be Ash'ari or Maturidi to be Ahlul Sunnah. What is this? And they're going back and forth. And this type of behavior, it pushes people away, right? And it makes religion look like something ugly. Whereas the Messenger of Allah made people love the religion. Really, we forget this. Just look at, for example, look at the famous song, Tala'al Badru Alayna. Just look closely at this. Most scholars say that this song wasn't sung when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina. It was actually when the Muslims were coming back from Tabuk. 30,000 Muslims left Medina and went. They were led by the Prophet ﷺ up to Tabuk to engage the Romans. But no actual battle, happened, and so the Muslims returned to Medina. As they were returning to Medina, and now keep in mind that the women and the children and those who were left behind, when the Muslims were leaving, a couple months prior, they thought this might be the last time they see their husbands, fathers, brothers and sisters, brothers and sons, because they were going up against the Romans, one of the greatest empires in history. And now, 2 months later, the Muslims are coming back to Medina, returning safe. And so the people of Medina began to sing. And it's interesting. You would think that if 30,000 people and your husband and your son and all these people are coming back to you, you would expect that the song would to be about everyone, right? But no, they were focused on one person. طلع البدر علينا صلى الله عليه وسلم. The full moon rose over us. من ثنية الوداع, from the valley of Wada, وجب الشكر علينا مدعا لله دا. And it's obligatory on us to show gratefulness while the call is to Allah. It's actually very deep, and it shows you the kind of things the teacher that the Prophet what he taught, what he instilled in the people of Medina, right? But then it goes on. أيها المبعوث فينا, O you who was sent amongst us. جئت بالأمر المطاع. You were sent with, you came with a matter to be obeyed. Subhanallah. It's a joyous occasion. Families are reuniting. Everyone is ecstatic. And this joy is being linked with obedience. Right? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ سَيَجْعَلُ لَهُمُ الرَّحْمَنُ وُدًّا. Those who believe and do good deeds, Allah will give them love. Right? Allah will give them love. And so love and obedience are two related things. And this is something special that only this religion has. It's exclusive to us. No other religion has this. Imam Nawawi said, all religions have these concepts of things like love and being good to one another. Everyone has this. You look at Judaism, it says, what is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. Christianity, in everything, do to others as you would have them done to you. Even the Native Americans who lived here, you had a tribe called the Hopi tribe, and they had something called the Hopi way of life, which was basically be good to nature and be good to others, and you'll be fine. Right? Even the Native American religions. Hinduism, it says, this is the sum of the duty. Do not do to others what would cause pain if done to you. Buddhism, treat not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. Taoism, regard your neighbor's gain as your gain and your neighbor's loss as your loss. Zoroastrianism, do not do to others what is injurious to yourself. And Islam, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you has true belief until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. It's a critical part of this religion. But Imam Nawawi said all religions have this. The difference with Islam is taqwa. وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَقَدْ وَصَّيْنَا الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. We have instructed those who went before you, وَإِيَّاكُمْ, and you, and اتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, to be conscious of Allah. This is what we need to build ourselves on, our communities, our institutions, our masajid, our organizations. God-centrism and not self-centrism. Right? And it may seem intimidating, right? But not for God-centric people. Because Allah is ala kulli shay'in qadir. He can change you, He can change people, He can change the ummah. You know the brother of Yusuf alayhi salam, his brothers, they threw him in the well, and what they did was they put the false blood on his shirt, and one of the brothers took this shirt to Yaqub, the father of Yusuf alayhi salam, to try to deceive him. Right? Many years later, Allah says, فَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ, when Yaqub alayhi salam had gone blind, years later, فَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ أَلْقَاهُ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا. A bearer of glad tidings came and put a shirt on the face of Yaqub, and his sight returned. You know who that person was? Ibn Kathir says that that same brother who years before had given the blood-stained shirt to Yaqub, he is the same one who was sent by Yusuf of Egypt to give his shirt to his father to return his sight, subhanAllah. This is the ability of Allah to change people. Because at the end of the day, when all is said and done, the only real timeless universal is Allah. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما اعطيت. اللهم نستغفرك اللهم من جميع الذنوب والخطايا ونتوب اليك. ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم حبب الينا الايمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره الينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم
واشكره يغفر لكم ولذكر الله اكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.